Inside is a game about a boy trapped in a dystopian world, one that doesn't just control its people, but slowly strips them of what makes them human. It confronts you with disturbing machines, impossible systems, and questions that linger with you long after you stop playing. But beneath it all, there's one question it keeps asking. Do we actually have free will? The game starts with a boy in a red shirt sliding down a cliff edge. One thing Inside doesn't have is objective markers, tutorials, a map of any sort, or a heads-up display. It tells you nothing. You could sit and stand at the start of the game, and it wouldn't care. The choice to move forward is completely yours. So why do you choose to move forward? The game didn't tell you, but you're still doing it. Strange that it feels like instinct. But then the boy comes across a van filled with people being loaded into the back. A guard closes the door to the van as it drives away with the people inside. The game's title, Inside, is left deliberately vague through the whole game, yet there are constant themes of being trapped inside something throughout. But as the boy drops down, a stick cracks and gains the attention of two guards. They're wearing identical white masks as they search for the boy, along with a strange orange glowing machine that's hooked up to a pipe far in the sky. This game takes place in a dystopian world, similar to that of George Orwell's 1984 or some other authoritarian state. We can also see the truck full of people driving off into the distance. This game, interestingly being in 3D, can't be moved around, only side to side. There is nonetheless countless things to spot in the background that tell us more about the world that we're inside. The boy takes a slight swim in some water, with guards spotting him in the background, so they send a dog after him. But he manages to escape by the skin of his teeth. The dogs in this world are nothing like everyday life. They're vicious and nasty, seemingly bred for only one thing. But the boy continues on through the impossibly tall, dead-looking forest. The place seems manufactured, tamed in a way that feels unnatural. All the trees looking perfectly controlled with no loose or damaged parts. It's like this world has pruned nature to behave how they want it to behave. But a truck, clearly searching for the boy, pulls along the road with a flashlight. So the boy quickly hides under a rock, hiding his obvious red shirt from the guards. The colour of his shirt is the same colour as the title card of the game, and it's probably the brightest colour you will ever see in it. The game's colour scheme is made up of a monochromatic blues and browns and greys, and it's very dark the whole time, so his shirt is in constant contrast. But the boy tries to sneak past the car with illuminated headlights. But a guard spots him and runs after. And another van with a guard pulls up. And the boy, still being pursued, runs with all his might. Gunshots can be heard being shot at the boy, as they send several blood-hungry dogs onto him. But he's safely plunged into the water. Though, coming up next is one of the most interesting parts of this game, and it's where you get the alternate ending. This game has two endings, by the way. And it involves this orb on the other side of the ledge, so the boy throws down a log to get to it. On the other side, it's glowing. The boy pulls out part of his mechanism, destroying it and turning it off. From a first interpretation, these orbs are strange, yet important. They're clearly mechanical and controlling something, but it makes you wonder what they're controlling, being so isolated and hidden in the first place. But when the boy emerges from the water, it started to heavily rain. There are guards on top of the bridge, searching for him, so he swims under the water to avoid being seen. Why were these people looking for this boy? What's so important about capturing one person? They've captured thousands already. But when he comes out of the water, pigs' corpses are littered over the floor, and a town sign can be seen off in the distance with the power or telecommunication cables hanging in the air. A lot of this game centers around control, or your lack of it. For instance, the way the player is locked to only move forward or backwards says a lot about the lack of control you have as a character. Sure, you can move, but you can only move how other people have predetermined you to move. Though while running through a cornfield that's drenched in rain and mud, the boy comes across a trapdoor on the floor. But underneath the cornfield is an old room that resembles a lab, with a dark room on the left for developing photos, and another one of those orbs that you break. Along with a giant vault door with a handle that we try to open, but nothing happens. This place will have a lot of significance later, so we'll come back to it. But the boy continues on through the maze of the cornfield, as little chirping sounds can be heard. As he makes his way onto an old abandoned farm, the sound is from little chicks on the floor. These chicks clearly only know one thing: find a mother for warmth and protection and stay close. So obviously, with their mothers gone, they follow the boy around as the only seemingly alive creature. There's a pile of dead pigs illuminated by the harsh glow of a street lamp. Pigs are an interesting animal to have littered everywhere. Normally pigs symbolise dirtiness and corruption, so to have them slaughtered laying out and rotting around says a lot about this world. But the boy opens a door to the left of the little chicks in the building. And starts up some sort of generator or pump for the large clunky machine in the back. And it whirs to life with the chicks continuing to follow. Though the boy turns on the lever, activating the suction on the machine, firing the little chicks out of it and at a crate held on a ledge. Some of their corpses now litter the top of the box after being fired out of the machine. Yet this boy seems completely unfazed by this. It says a lot about the world that we're in, that this sort of cruelty, to shoot tiny baby birds out of a cannon for your own gain, is completely normalised. It's genuinely disturbing how normal the game treats it. Like this is just some sort of typical thing that happens. No sound effect, no recognition, just brutal death right in our face. But the boy drags the car towards the farmhouse again instead, then entering through a crack in the door to swing across and find another orb. Each one of these orbs is connected by a long orange wire to some sort of communication device. We saw it on the roof as we were passing. But the boy continues on through the ruined farmland. And we can see some touches of sunlight on the horizon. As some sort of rabid pig hurtles his way towards the boy. But it stupidly smashes its way through the broken barn, revealing one of this game's most mind-bending concepts. Though, to stop the pig pursuing the boy, he stuns it on a wall and pulls out something out of its back. A parasite of some sort falls out, which makes the pig suddenly docile. I think it's very symbolic of this game as a whole. A parasite latched onto a peaceful creature, making it do things it never normally would do. It makes you wonder, what could this game's parasite be? As the boy jumps up, hooking himself onto the helmet, which reveals itself as a mind control device, the characters in the back are described as albinos by the wiki, and are mindless husks that were capable of controlling when hooked up to the helmet. Notice how the boy is reenacting all of the movements that the albinos are doing. But as soon as we disconnect from the helmet, these people go completely dead and limp. They're unable to walk, move, or think for themselves without us. They clearly resemble humans. They clearly look human. Are they human? But the boy pulls up shutters on the large barn, revealing a beautiful sun. It's unclear if this is a sunrise or a sunset, but this is the only time in the whole game that we'll see the sun. Any other time from here on out, the sun is being glimpsed through rays in passing windows. We will never see it again. But as the boy approaches an impossibly large-looking factory, we can see a line of people standing in the same way as the albinos just before. But as he continues up through the warehouse, we can hear the faint chirping sounds of birds, the same as before. They're going to follow the boy again, surely. But instead, completely run away, scared or maybe not interested. But despite the boy not having chicks to love him, he continues on anyways. Eventually making his way to a safe, basking in the sunlight to drop onto some planks below. Puzzles like this made me question the intentions of the game a lot. They seem extremely manufactured and predetermined. Isn't it suspicious to have a safe hanging conveniently on a ledge like that? This time, while breaking the orb, you can hear a strange static sound. But the boy finds another mind control helmet that he happily plugs himself into, and two albinos emerge from the corners. He manages to get them to step on a pressure plate, opening a door for him. Seemingly, we're in some sort of old abandoned train station with cells inside of them. It looks like this place where they load and collect people from the wilderness. But as the boy climbs through the factory, we can hear what sounds like rhythmic marching in the distance. Which is confirmed by seeing the sleepwalkers marching in a perfect line. Though he finds another orb, and clearly has to destroy it. This city seems dead. It's towering over the sun, removing all natural light, so it constantly feels like a nightmare. But a plank of wood snaps as the boy is walking across it. It's disgusting. Their bodies hang limp, as if removed by remote control. Their faces completely white and dead, as if all of their identities have been removed. That's another interesting thing. None of the characters in this game have faces. Some have masks, but nobody has a face. It could be some sort of stylistic choice, or maybe it means something deeper, as if these people have had their identity torn away from them. But the boy continues through a hall, seeing some strange monoliths in the background. He tries opening the lift, but it won't start as there's no power, so he goes back to turn on the switch. But that activates the robot guards, makes you wonder what these things are for. Are they trying to keep something in, or trying to keep something out? We can hear the boy taking deep breaths. He's terrified. One of this game's major strong points is, even for a silent protagonist, this boy is extremely reactive with his body language. I encourage you to watch him throughout the game. He looks around and expresses himself lots. But as he's walking over seemingly steady ground, the planks break. As a monitor camera quickly comes by to check the damage and the kid. He must now pretend perfectly to be one of the herd, otherwise he'll be killed. But while the boy continues to march, we can see an audience in the back, observing them. They're all faceless, but these people have one defining feature, and that's their masks. It resembles an auction, or some sort of buying procedure. These people are looking on, seeing which ones would be good to have. Maybe as pets, or slaves. It's truly disturbing to see humans treat other humans like this, to completely remove their control and ability to think like an actual creature, and turn them into something mindless. It reminds me a lot of 1984, and there's a quote that perfectly fits this game. We are not interested in the good of others. We are interested solely in power, pure power. What pure power means you will understand presently. They pretended, perhaps they even believed, that they had seized power unwillingly, and for a limited time, and that just around the corner there lay a paradise where human beings would be free and equal. We are not like that. We know that no one ever seizes power with the intention of relinquishing it. Power is not a means, it is an end. The object of persecution is persecution. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power. Now you begin to understand me. This idea of power for the sake of power, to have complete control over other people, to remove what makes them them, is very prevalent throughout this game. But annoyingly for us, the dog can smell us apart from the rest. So it chases, trying to kill us. But the boy escapes, propelling himself onto another mind control helmet, which lands us straight into another puzzle section. But the boy notices another mind control tether, so moves the albino closer to inspect it, and when he jumps onto it, another one appears out of a box. This now tells us two things are true: that people being mind controlled can control others, and that certain people are tethered to certain mind control units. I love the use of mind control in this game. It's a perfect way to illustrate the lack of freedom that people have in this world. And it also gives an extremely interesting mechanic for puzzles, as we've just seen. But the boy opens a trapdoor to reveal an endless pit of water below, and workers react shocked to this happening as he's plunged into the ice-cold water. And he enters another room with a big red button, and when pressed, it controls the level of the water. It's strange to have a button deliberately put somewhere just to control the level of water, and that's the same for many of the devices and items within this game. This world is filled with huge machinery, massively impossible objects that would marvel today's physics, but they all seem pointless. Though, as he continues on, he sees what looks like moonlight, but is really just a spotlight of a drone. So the boy drops down a crate, drags it under a rope, and raises the water so he can climb up. And he arrives into some sort of train station. that's carrying herds of people somewhere. One thing I haven't mentioned so far, but is important to talk about, is the deaths. All of the deaths in this game are brutal. There is no sound effect, no massive camera shake, it's just a boy being brutalized. And I think that touches on one of this game's key choices that affect the way it feels a lot. Its lack of reaction to anything. A boy can be murdered, humans can be turned into mindless husks, and the game doesn't react at all. It just accepts them for what they are, and doesn't contest the brutal nature of things. I think it understands that it is brutal, and it just accepts it that way. It knows what's happening is horrible, but it doesn't try to pretend otherwise. It's horrible, and we have to learn to be okay with that. This game presents things, horrible truths about life and reality. It gives us questions about if we really have control, or if we're just being forced into bondage without ever knowing. But it doesn't give you an opinion. It shows you the situation, and lets you decide for yourself. But the boy continues on through the rooftops, trying not to be seen by the drone above. And there's cages of humans hanging from ledges. The door is left wide open. They could leave whenever they want, but they choose to stay in the cage. Is it just easier for them to stay trapped? But the boy enters through a hatch in the ceiling and drops down a chain. It's an old abandoned part of the railway. This place just builds on top of the old broken things below, disregarding them like rubbish. And of course, dogs start chasing the boy. So he slowly pulls off wooden planks from a wall so he can escape the pack. But thankfully, these dogs are stupid enough to be tricked by a fence. And he makes it through unscathed. The dogs are really loud and harsh, which is in stark contrast to how quiet the rest of the game is. This is probably the quietest game I've ever played. There isn't any talking, there isn't any loud noises really. It just leaves you to sit and think. The boy spots someone coming out of a submarine. This seems to be some sort of research station. These are the first autonomous humans we've seen so far. Not guards with guns and masks, humans working of their own free will and desires. Though the boy decides to commandeer the submarine for himself. And venture deeper into the drowning water. If this thing broke, the kid would be dead in a second. Thankfully, the machine seems quite sturdy. And he's thrust into the great abyss of water, seemingly going on endlessly, with cables and other machines clawing at each other. But he finds a crack in the wall. And travels further through in his little submarine. Though he eventually comes through a wall, he can't fully break through. But is left no choice but to swim to the other side himself. It's strange that this wall we can't go through, yet the submarine has easily broken through countless walls and doors up till now. And that highlights a key design choice this game has made throughout to constantly make you feel uneasy. Most games work like this. They'll teach you a mechanic or a rule, and then that's consistent through the whole game. For instance, if you use a red button, it does one thing. Then through the game, every red button you press will do the same thing. Or if you walk over a wooden plank, the wooden plank will be safe to walk on throughout the game. Inside is different. It teaches you a mechanic, like walking over a wooden plank, and then the next time you walk over a wooden plank, it breaks on you. This game constantly teaches you a rule, like using the submarine to break through a wall, and then breaks that rule, so the previous learned thing doesn't work anymore. This happens more and more as the game goes on, and makes everything feel untrustworthy. This game wants to make you feel uneasy. It doesn't want you to trust it. You should not trust this game. This here is another mechanic, the pneumatic box, that the game is going to teach you how it works, but it will very soon break this rule, like it will with many others. And after making a long way to the other side, he gets the door open. Something is in the water with him that scurries away. Would you rather know something is there watching you, or just accept blissful ignorance? Is it better to know you're being watched and monitored, or would you rather go about your life pretending everything is fine? But on his travels past the door, the boy finds another orb, and obviously wants to destroy it. So he shoots one of the albinos in the air to a mind control helmet, so he can then use the other to destroy this orb. Given that mind control can happen to whomever and from seemingly any distance, who's to say this boy isn't being mind controlled? Who's controlling him? It makes an interesting thought on the idea of free will. Even if the boy isn't being controlled, even if the boy is thinking for himself, clearly there's other external systems controlling him. Clearly he isn't fully in charge of what he can and can't do. So is he really free? If everything is controlled, then is there such a thing as free will? The boy gets out of the submarine to press another red button that thankfully lowers the water this time instead of dropping boulders on his head. Another red door with a wooden lock on it. Strange. And then the creature we saw earlier appears out of the darkness. It will try and drown the boy given the opportunity, and the only way to keep it away is by shining a light on it. This creature is fascinating for many reasons, but mainly because it resembles a human. It was clearly a human once, but something or someone altered it to turn it into this thing. Though the boy finds a large bulk door that he slams shut, trapping the siren, hopefully. And with that, another orb is destroyed. But strangely, there's a large pane of glass. It's as if this creature, the siren in the water, was being observed. It seems like this world is happily altering people, changing them for their own strange experiments. The boy then beaches the submarine on land and approaches the massive facility. It's a beach with water that seems to stretch off for miles. Are we inside or outside? Logically, a beach would be outside, right? But there's no sunlight. The boy opens a large door that leads into an abyss. It looks like the boy's in some sort of cave. Maybe he's inside. And if you listen closely through this part of the game, you can hear a rhythmic thud happening exactly every 6 seconds. And the boy throws down a lever, which activates a platform to open the biggest door in the game, and this is the largest puzzle that we'll see in the game so far. This puzzle requires you to go and collect 20 albinos that are being mind controlled by you to stand on that platform. The number 19 indicating the amount of people that need to stand there to leave. This puzzle takes at least 15 minutes and is probably the longest amount of downtime where you aren't at risk of being killed or chased the whole game. Personally, I really appreciate moments like this in games. After some crazy mind-bending events that have happened, giving you the time to do menial tasks where you can reflect. So that's what we do. Reflect on what's happened as we jump to a mind-controlled rig that suddenly breaks. But somehow, it still remains functional. We have control over these albinos, but not in the same way as before. Instead of them mirroring our exact movements like they did when we were hooked up to the machine, they instead follow us around and listen to our every command. It's as if being disconnected from the main wires and just being in possession of the helmet has made them more agreeable, has made them listen to anything we say, yet keep their own autonomy in a way. Is that worse? Would it be better for something to directly plug into your brain and tell you exactly what to do and how to do it? Or is it better just to become suggestible to whatever someone says? So, with all of these people following the boy around, it makes you wonder if this is free will. After all, they are choosing to follow him. It's their own choice, currently, to follow us wherever we go. Sure, they're being affected by some sort of device, but that's free will, isn't it? These people are choosing to do what they want. In a way, all of us in life are affected by something. There is always some external system or pressure pushing on us to make us do things we might not want to do. Do we have free will then? If things are affecting the way we talk, the way we speak, the way we act, is that free will? If all you've ever known is bondage, and the other external people giving you signals of what to do or what not to do, are you really making the choices of your own volition? If you're told by your leaders and your government to do this, or do that, or that things are bad or good, you still get to choose what to do with it. Or is it the fact that they've told you in the first place, as they've already set up the conditions and the lifestyle for how you think? Does that mean that they're thinking for you? Do you really have freedom if everything around you has been set up in a specific way for you to be? Another curious thing is these red and blue dots that you can see in the distance now are present almost all throughout the whole game, either through cameras watching you or maybe eyes. It's as if the boy is being observed. And obviously, there's another orb hidden within this puzzle for us to find. This time surrounded by killer dogs that are terrified of fire. That's the only way we can keep them back from killing us. But strangely, as soon as the boy destroys the orb, the dogs run away. Were they protecting it? Or is it just some sort of parasite that was digging into them, much like that worm in the pig at the start of the game? I think one of the biggest things I respect about this game is its world building. Everything feels coherent, like it has an answer within the world, a reason for existing that we just don't know about, but nothing is explained to us explicitly. There are no documents, no tutorials, no menus or dialogue to overhear from conversations that were meant for you. The game just gives you a consistent world full of horrors and doesn't give you any explicit answers. I think that's why this game has lived in my head for so long, how it's burrowed itself in there like a disease. It doesn't give me any definitives, so my brain keeps gnawing at it over and over again trying to find an answer. But there won't ever be a definitive answer. There won't be a eureka moment where everything makes sense. And I quite like that. It's thematic in a way for this game to not explain itself, I think. But after finally gathering enough albinos, the boy can open the big vault door. That thumping sound we've been hearing the whole time is a periodic shockwave every 6 seconds, obliterating everything in its path. Why would they need an invention like this? What's the point of having a periodic shockwave every 6 seconds? Maybe it's because they can. Maybe power and greed has gotten so strong that they need to do this just to show that they can do it. Or maybe it's there to keep something out. Clearly no biological matter can survive this. But then, when the boy times the lift perfectly to hide from the shockwave, the music swells. And it's lifted up, and it feels triumphant, like you've succeeded. This is the point in the game where you now know all the mechanics. The game doesn't have any more obstacles or things in your way to teach you anymore. You understand all there is to know, and it's quite freeing. Listening to the first positive and hopeful track in this game fills anyone who's been playing this dreary game with a sense of happiness. The boy opens up shutters on the room that's filled with crash dummies used for testing. It's like the developers themselves are trying to alter the way you think, trying to control our emotions to feel happy and manipulate us, when quite clearly, when in a room with deadly shockwaves, we should not feel that way. And then after all of that, the boy finally sees some sunlight. Maybe this is where we escape. But the hopeful music stops. As the shockwaves inevitably batter the lift. As the boy is plunged, trapped inside of a cage, into the water. He quickly swims to escape. I can't help but feel sorry for this poor guy. He looks exhausted. It's easy to forget he's a kid. But he continues on anyways, with another one of those blue lights hiding in the corner of our view. We've not even stopped to consider, why is the boy doing all of this? What is his goal? But the boy finds a lever to a loading dock that he jumps through, and this is where one of the most interesting parts of this game happens. As we can see a blue door left slightly ajar. But if you wait here long enough, staring at the door, you can see a person poke their head through and then quietly close it. The boy seems to notice it happen, but he doesn't care. To me, the fact that the colour of the door is the same colour as the little blinking lights we've seen dotted around the whole game says to me that we're being watched. And the fact that we're being observed makes me believe that this is just a test. These people, this government, these systems are testing the boy to see what he'll do. After all, why is the boy so determined to continue to the right? Why does he keep going? I think it's clear now that it was never his choice to continue. Something has been making him move forward without his own free will. Maybe he's being controlled. Maybe he's being forced. If you tell a person from birth that the colour green is actually blue, they'll forever believe the wrong thing. They still choose the colours that they like out of their own free will, but their version of reality, the way they see the world, has been so significantly altered by the people around them. How could they ever see it objectively? Is someone really acting of their own free will if everything they've ever known has been altered by someone else? Is that really them? But after diving into some more water, the boy spots the siren again, seemingly motionless. But she chases after the boy. Every time the boy enters the water now, the siren will try and drown him. The size of this building is immense. It seems like it would be the next building you could see with the naked eye from space. It must go on for miles. Then the boy opens a large vault door, sending him falling into the water below. The siren won't leave the boy alone now, will it? And the boy comes across another orb that he promptly destroys. It's interesting that this game doesn't put any harsh sounds near you when there's a threat, just a slight high-pitched whir that gets louder and louder. But the boy safely makes it to the other side, trapping the siren with the door. And finds another rope to climb up and continue. But the game broke that rule that we learned, sending him right into the siren's arms. As he gets dragged down further and further by the creature, he starts to drown. As his last pieces of air in his lungs gets used up. The siren attached a device to the boy as he floats forever downwards. And the fish start to huddle around him. The boy hits the floor and suddenly wakes up terrified, gasping for air that isn't there. And then he realizes he's fine and can breathe underwater. So the siren altered our body so that we could survive down here. Why would they do that? I think a lot of this game is about control, about altering who you are, and in this case, the boy, unwillingly. If horrible situations are thrust upon you, if you're being controlled through circumstances or by mind control, then what chance do you have? If you're playing the game, if you're continuing on in life, then you aren't acting of your own free will. You're letting something else control the way you act, the way you speak. It's near impossible to do so. I'm British. I didn't ask to be British. I was just born this way. I have a certain way of speaking that I didn't choose. I still choose to speak. But is that really my own choice in the way I articulate myself? Or was it just an inevitability? It does make me wonder how many choices are actually ours. And how many choices were made for us years ago without ever knowing. It's the classic debate between determinism and free will. The question of, did you really choose this, or were you always going to choose this? The boy, however, still makes his way through the outtake vent, being careful not to be ripped to shreds by the blades. He eventually reaches air, which he might not even need to breathe anymore. Though, obviously, there's more security systems that he has to avoid. And with that, another orb is dead. But now he goes back to moving that platform. So he can safely make it over without being seen. After making it over safely, he drops into a tiny hole. But when climbing out, he sees one of the strangest sights yet. Inverted water. Is gravity inverted here, or is the water just the wrong way around? Though there's a particularly difficult orb to get to, so the boy has to get one of the pneumatic boxes up to the floating water to get to it. This one has notes all on the walls, and a radio playing a distinctive tune. He gets two of the pneumatic cubes and stands on them to thrust himself into the water. The bodies floating in the water are twitching and convulsing randomly, giving the impression of pain. But the boy starts to remove parts of the machine, seemingly the cause of the water defying gravity. I wonder what their uses are for anti-gravity water. Part of it might be experimentation, to find some new crazy invention. It feels like these humans are disposable, and they're just mutating them for their own fun and control. There might be some ulterior motive, but whatever it is unclear. But while running to find a box to stand on, we see humans sitting in a cage. But a large door suddenly opens. And a father and son walk in with a forklift driver. The driver then grabbed the cage of people. To me, this looks like they're being purchased. These people have had their free will stripped from them, their minds melted, and now are being sold to the highest bidder. And they seem happy about it, like they don't even mind. If all you've ever known is a cage, then life outside the cage feels wrong. But then the boy enters a room with more inverted water. You can see some scientists in the top on an observation window too. And there's a switch the boy can use to lower or raise the water on command. Though he easily goes through this puzzle compared to the rest of the game. And after swimming through hanging corpses in inverted water, he can see people below. They're checking something to do with the floating corpses. Maybe this is how they turn people into the mindless. He then presses a button to raise the water, causing all the albinos to fall and then follow the boy. Strangely, he doesn't need a helmet to control them anymore. Clearly that siren did more to the boy than let him just breathe underwater. So they continue following him and listen to his every command. He enters an observation room, overlooking another large building within this complex with wires all heading towards it. This is the scene that is used for a lot of the game's promotional assets also. So the boy makes his way towards that building, dropping on the albinos below. But finds one of the last orbs that he gets chucked up to destroy. They all huddle around him while going down the lift. They know nothing else than to follow him, and they all approach the last door as they thrust it up together. Whenever we go through a large door in this game, expecting to be outside, there's always some other larger building lurking around the corner. Have we ever been outside this entire game? Don't you remember that forest at the start of the game being too clean, too controlled? Were we ever outside to begin with? But as the boy runs through the building, he sees desks and computers of workers left abandoned. With test rooms of mutant abominations being videoed, studied, what have these people done to these creatures? With a worker running past the boy, completely ignoring him, this is the first time in this game that a person has seen us and completely ignored our existence. As they all huddle around some glass, staring at a thing. Yet strangely, everyone seems unbothered by the boy. But I think the most interesting part of this scene is that everyone, even the boy, can see what's inside of the chamber, but us, as the players, can't. It separates the us versus them. We are the ones watching, observing what is happening. They are the ones experiencing. Our vision is limited. Our vision is controlled by something external. We are completely prevented from seeing what is going on because someone chose for us not to see. Someone designed it that way that we aren't allowed. Whether we want to or not, we can't. We aren't allowed to know. We can be as curious as we like, but for as long as we're alive, we're trapped inside. We're stuck inside someone else's ploys and games. We are inside, even if we think we're free. The outside is still the inside. The only difference is it's just not got the walls holding back the rain. But the boy once again finds more yellow cables, so he follows them and finds a room filled with grass. There's a board in the back that shows light lit up of all the orbs that we've destroyed, with yellow cables linking back to them. With an extremely large replica of an orb, the boy can enter and destroys the last one inside of it, which makes all the lights go off except one, the one back in the cornfield from the beginning of the game. Something just died. But he continues on the path he was travelling before getting sidetracked, which is straight onto an observation winch, and then down a pipe of a massive suspended test chamber which was holding the thing that all the scientists were looking at. This is some sort of ventilation tube, used to regulate water flow and temperature to the chamber. But the boy pulls off the safety restraints. Releasing the entrance to the thing, yet is pulled up by some sort of suction that he then turns off, while quickly swimming back down to avoid the suction when the system's reactivated. As he lets go, he is sent shooting through the tube. A massive flesh and limbs is suspended in mid-air, with several mind control helmets connected to it. The boy removes the mind control helmets from the creature, trying to free it. But then he gets consumed by the creature. As we, the player, gain full control over the beast and begin to violently pull at the window, causing the glass to slowly fracture and break. As the world erupts in screams and horrors. What was once a quiet game is now a loud chaos with screams of workers and the horrible moans and groans of the creature as it wanders around in agony. A worker tries slamming down a door to stop the huddle from entering, but it doesn't work, as it rips and tears through the flimsy bars. The albinos follow us, clearly still wanting to appease their master. This is probably the most grotesque, strange thing to happen in any game. A huddle of flesh and bones. It feels like an amalgamation of all the suffering and disgust of these people as they've slowly twisted humans to do what they want with them. As our weight collapses the lift, we crash down onto a diorama of a manufactured beach and trees, seemingly in a controlled environment. Interestingly, we can see scientists in the back, observing this thing. Instead of watching us through cameras like the whole game, they're watching us blatantly now struggle. Was this huddle the thing that we were running towards the whole game? Was the boy always trying to get towards this creature? It feels good to do this. It's satisfying to destroy and hurt the people that have been clearly torturing this world. We slam straight into the office of the CEO, the leader of this place. We can either let him live or kill him. So we choose to paint the ground red in his blood. You can hear the sounds of crushing bones and pain. As a worker kindly opens the door for the huddle. Why are they helping us? Or was this the path laid out for us to follow the whole time, and we were just walking what was already mowed? The huddle then grabs a box and sets it on fire in a furnace to ignite the fuel systems of this vile place. Which sets off warning lights everywhere. As we continue to clamber and groan through this ever-deepening facility. But as we continue to try to escape, the workers are helping us. Why? I think this is all designed. They wanted this creature to escape. They didn't give us a choice. Everything has been perfectly placed and planned from the beginning. We didn't have any opinion on the matter. This would always happen. As another worker helps us with a pneumatic cube. As the mindless beast tries to get another, being led into a deliberate trap as they huddle around and watch as we sink. There's a vent that the huddle can break off, and it does. And it continues to swim upwards towards the remaining last light. wooden wall is on our right that we slowly edge towards. The outside light, we can see it. As the huddle rolls down a cliff edge. Straight onto the edge of a peaceful-looking beach, where it calms down and lays. This is the exact same beach from that diorama that we smashed into not even minutes ago. This game's main ending is very different from any normal ending of a game. It feels unsatisfying in a way, going through all of this effort and heartache just to be stranded on a beach. But I think it's very fitting. The ending feeling like we've finally escaped, finally chosen to break free from the shackles around us, but instead never being free. This game is about control, about free will and the lack of it that we have. We, as the boy, were always going to end up here, because they planned it. We never had a say in our life, and it makes you wonder what is outside. The game's name, Inside, refers to always being captive by something out of our control. Something that we will never be able to understand, that controls us and keeps us trapped inside. Even when we think we've escaped, even when we think we're outside, it's just a false reality. We are inside the systems that control us, inside our own minds. But does that mean we're not free? Though, as you understand, this game does have a second alternate ending, and is achieved by destroying all of the orbs you find through the game, and going back to the second orb in the cornfield at the very start of it. And after going down into the bunker, we can then access that door that we tried at the very start, by entering the code left, 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 up, up, right, left, right, 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 up, 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 right. Which causes the door to open and the boy can walk through. The boy walks through into an old abandoned subway system with a mind control device hooked up to a large supercomputer. But after unplugging the computer, it sparks and it eventually dies. And the boy is left there, limp, like the albinos when the connection gets dropped. We, the player, were the ones controlling the boy the entire time. We were the ones in control. That's how he got life to begin with. The only way to have true freedom, the only way to not be trapped inside, the only way to truly have free will is to just not play. By playing the game, we are removing the free will. By continuing to go forward, we are the ones forcing the boy to do as we please. Seemingly the only way to have true freedom, the only way to not be trapped inside, is to just not play at all.